Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to chapter number 4 with trading with OC. Hopefully, you guys are having a blast. So sorry, yesterday I was having such a trouble with my internet. Don't know what happened. Just a very crappy internet for some reason. I'm supposed to have symmetrical fiber or something like that, but seems like I don't know. Somebody decided not to provide with that service. Nonetheless, let's get it rolling. But let's get it started with you guys because you guys rocked, and not only that, you guys are the very best. I see Jesse Glue. What's up, brother? He says that he's going to be watching the replay because it is 2:05 a.m. his time. Thank you so much for dropping those likes. And of course, I'm going to be making you a test just for you, my friend, just to see if you watch the video. I'm just kidding. But yeah, hopefully you can watch the replay and do a double like if you can, or a triple like, because once you do a double, it just disappears. So triple like. All right, so we also have Week's Wife. What's up, Week's Wife? Great to have you around. Always very happy to see you. We also have Alexander G. Queen Mode. Welcome, Alexander G. Welcome to the class. Take a seat, please. Username, my buddy in crime, but this time I'm exposing and he's throwing viper balls at me. Still want my OC Superman hoodie. God, brother, we need to make that happen, but I don't know. Do you like the Piper's today in the morning suggestion? Let me know. Maybe we can do something just for fun. I don't know, man. If it's funny, better. It kind of like matches my personality, right? But let me know what are your suggestions, guys. For maybe a t-shirt, a sweatshirt, a hoodie. I don't know, whatever. Username AG also says, who else we got in here? Jesse, I think that's it so far. So guys, quick reminder to click that like button. It really helps with the algorithm. Other than that, I was just fighting with Chart GPT. But let's get it rolling. And today we're going to be visiting Vistopedia. I'm going to be just showing you where to find the links and also the rest of the information, because today we're not going to be dissecting what we already have learned. We're going to be adding that pro information on top of it. We're going to be seeing my take on triangles, also how I use them, how I draw them, and how I try to trade with them. All right, so without further ado, let's go and let's visit our charts. All right. Oh, and I don't have my charts. Guys, give me 1 second here. For some reason, this thing, it doesn't want to play with me. Let me just try to change this. Maybe that'll work. And all right, I think there we go. We got it. Let's go back to the charts in here and let's take a look at what we got. This is where we left out. Remember, it's not about the breakout. It's about the retest, 1/2 of an entry, then 1/4 because we sold, then breaking back in, retest for a full position. In here, going back up, we rejected at previous highs and then went back to have some support. If you did not enter, this was your entry point. Right now, it's too late, especially now since we have a almost rejection out of that dynamic reactor, right? It's not complete just yet, but seems like we're not gonna be making it unless something magical happen and we find some support here or last chance somewhere around there. But at this point, I would not be chasing the entry. In fact, remember I told you guys this is looking weaker, and if we have a lower high, and this was today in the morning, we'll be creating a possible rounded top or something like that, or a Bart Simpson that usually indicates the next movement downwards. So what happened here, we enter right there, we move, or I move my entry to take some profits in here and entry to stop. And what's happening, if I hit dynamic reactor, most likely I'm going to get out at 0 lost. Why? Because when you move your stop to entry, remember, it is always a suggested I don't know, slightly percentage above, a slightly bit above your cost for the trade, just to compensate for fees. All right, so it seems like we're gonna get stopped out on that trade. That's fine, I don't really care. I mean, we can still look for the breakout to the upside. Let's just bring up our indicators. Let me clean this up first, and then we're gonna be looking at triangular patterns today. All right, so let me just kind of get rid of all of this because it seems like it's just too noisy, right? It's even too noisy for me. By the way, I'm still 1/4 on this position, so shout out to you guys if you also enter in that one. We followed on that entry. All right, What's up next now? So we're seeing a possible rounded top. It's not confirmed until we break. Should we be breaking? Of course, the support right there, right? Which in this case, we don't need to draw it because we have dynamic reactor marking the high volume area. All right, what else do we have? We haven't right, the big body breakout. If we have a big body breakout, I need to have at least a high till this high, all right, to put a higher than this one. Maybe, and then absolutely a higher low, and then a break to the upside. That doesn't seem to be happening at this point, right? Especially because we are below the zero line. If for some reason something happens, we're gonna be bursting, but that burst, because remember our consolidation score says highly consolidating, and are we consolidating? Of course we are, right? And what kind of consolidation? So far it looks like two things. First, a bullish flag, right? A very crappy bullish flag. Second, it also seems like a rounded top, like in here, right? But we have what we have discussed before: little hump, bigger hump, the triangular pattern, right? Which I don't really have. We should be having it right here, but we don't have it, which is fine. We could still have it in here, and then the burst out. Remember, the goal on the patterns, it is within their lines, all right? So what kind of breakouts we're going to be looking for? Breakout below dynamic reactor, breakout above previous highs. That's going to be our analysis for today, all right? Entry points in here. Hey, LJR, what's up? Good evening, fam. Good evening to you, my friend. Welcome. Great to have you in here. By the way, guys, if you have questions, please let me know. That's what I'm here for, guys. I'm here for you. I don't want you guys not to have any questions. And if you do, that's amazing, because that gives me the chance to start talking about the things I love, which is just technicals. All right, so go ahead, ask away. That's what I'm here for. Do not hold back, because I do want to answer your questions. I'm just going over to see my indicators, because it seems like I had like a, look at that, a exclamation point. So I don't know what's going on there, but whatever. Let's now just save it, and let's start moving away from this into our more cleaner trade with OUC sections. All right, so let's go with those, and perfect. I think we got them. So right away, remember that we also were talking about a possible inverted head and shoulders with a cricket to the outside zone here. So what can we maybe be expecting out of this? Well, then we could be expecting a break to this trend line. Remember, it's just the same thing, breaking to the trend line. All right, and then if we do that, we just go for the median to the bottom. That is a measured target. That is not telling me where I must be hitting. It's just a measured target based on the psychology of the breakout, basically what the books tell you to, right? That is the chance to break. All right, so the chance for the breakout target to hit. All right, other than that, it's not looking that pumpy, right? I mean, we have this little itty bitty pump creating already a lower high. We rejected. We are below the zero line. I need to see the oscillator start breaking through. If I don't see it, it's all gone. Strap yourself, guys, because most likely we are gonna go lower. How lower? TP number 1 right here, TP number 2 right there. Guys, how do I decide if I'm gonna be entering there or not? With my oscillator. All right, I want you guys to notice that when we are in here, look at that, we're having a flip of the ribbon. When we were in here, we're having a flip of the ribbon. So there's two things in here also, here and there, right? You see the same thing right here, very bottom, next high. So I want you to notice this kind of repetitive pattern. All right, let me make it bigger so you can see it clearly. Let's bring up here. Hey, Trading Tuition in the house. What's up? Also, we have KDGT. What's up, brother? Welcome. Take a seat, guys, and start throwing paper balls or whatever you want. The thing is, you throw something. Hello, crypto fam. Hello, what's up? All right, so I want you guys to notice something in here, right? I want you guys to notice the bottoming zone, right? The flip of the ribbon below or within this range between the dashed green line that we configured together. All right, and then I also want you to notice that will bounce off the support, and finally we have another set, which is this kind of like a goose head, right? This one in here, that flick back up to right. Can we have it in here? Absolutely we could, but in both of the previous cases, where did we fluke to the upside? In the green cloud. Where were we before bursting upwards? In the green cloud. All right, in this case, are we in the green cloud? No, we're not. So despite this is looking alike, it is not at the same area based on the green momentum. All right, another thing that I want to make you aware of, it is that our compression, thanks to this lower high and holding the support, all right, thanks to that, it did not become into a massacre to the downside. All right, but going back to my point, where or how do I decide where to enter? When the price action is getting closer to my support, I'm gonna be watching my oscillator. Like for example, right here, when it's getting closer to this support, where is it right now? It is somewhere around here. Can I maybe take it? Yes, that would be also a good area, right? But if I see maybe volatility, or maybe I just bring up, for example, my RSI prime right here, what is telling me here, my RSI prime, and that's why my RSI primed is a great companion. This is telling me, hey, no, look at my big candles. We're not there yet. We're looking for tiny, small candles, right? Tiny, small candles. So as you can see right here, after we flip, there we go, tiny candles, flip of the ribbon, crossing the other trend line, that's your entry, and off you go. And then for the next one, tiny candles, add support, right? Off we go. Same thing we're gonna be looking for right here. So where is our price action? Right there. Is it on a support? Not just yet. When it hits the support, we're gonna be looking out at our oscillator in both the RSI prime and our prime oscillator pro. All right, so both of them are gonna be giving us the entry point. And if the price action it's in here, oh, sorry, my dog can't get scared the living crap out of me, man. All right, so if we are in here, the price action is in here, and the oscillator is not giving us an entry, we just let it go, because most likely we're gonna go and catch the next one. When we are on the next one, we look back at our oscillator and we see if we're ready to take that entry. All right, so that's what I got for you guys. If you want to take a look at anything for me, like for example any asset, please let me know. I'll be more than happy to do that analysis before we jump into the triangular patterns. Let's see, Rip Chat, absolutely, Rip Chat, DGT, what's up? Who else we have in here? Train Tuition, Key DGT, ABBB, I'm not sure what that means. What's up, everyone? Train Tuition says, what's up, brother? What's up? All right, so are we stuck? Are we just, or I'm just my face? Yeah, just my face. Is this bullish on Rips? Oh my god, I am, man. I'm bullish on Rips. All right, if you know, you know. All right, other than that, let's take a look at triangular patterns. All right, let's go to another Bitcoin chart where we have a little bit more things, right? And by the way, remember when we draw this boxes, what do? We buy low, we sell high, right? We buy low, we sell high. So we are at high. We should be looking maybe for a short when we have the trigger points in there. All right, let's go to a cleaner chart. Let me just turn everything off in here and let's start zooming out. All right, so when we zoom out, we're gonna be looking for different characteristics. This is one of those things that most likely is gonna be playing out, for at least for my brain, is gonna be playing out with the market structure, not that much with chunky candles. All right, I mean, I could absolutely see it with chunky candle, chunkier candles, but I think this is one of those things that it's good to practice looking a little bit away. Why? Because right here I can distinguish maybe a triangle, right? But it's just too few candles inside. And why do I want more candles? Why am I complaining about few candles? Well, that is because, remember what I always tell you guys, The gold within the patterns are in the outer lines because we can trade the inner structure. So if the inner structure it's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 candles, ooh, trading that would be either suicidal or very, very dangerous. All right. So, oh, I know what was it. All right, perfect. So that's why I rather look for higher or bigger triangles. Guys, the bigger the triangle, the better the shape, right? The more the candles, the better the shape. The better the shape, the better the result, all right? So bear that in mind. So for example, right here, I don't see chunky candles, which is fine. It's perfect. But I do see, look at that A trend line. Remember that when we're talking about triangles or any patterns, we look for support and resistances in trend lines, which can form a triangle, all right, or a pattern. And then I do see another one in here. So this is a triangular pattern, not an actual triangle. We're gonna be seeing the difference. But as you can see right here, we're creating what is called a wedge. Or if we add what we have in here, which is a pole, this could be very much a bullish flag, all right? Usually that bullish flag, it has a down sloping to the right range and then a bullish breakout, all right? Let me explain a couple of things, right? There's a difference between triangles and wedges, right? First of all, triangles, I like to call everything a triangle because it is, well, a triangular feature, right? I mean, coming from geometry, there's not much of a difference. But when we trade, we have a little bit of a slang to call it that way, right? Because I think first we got the geometry and then we got the trading. Nonetheless, a triangular pattern, usually it is when two lines converge to a point. Which point, it doesn't matter. Can they be like this? Yes, because if you prolong them, right, eventually they're going to be converging. They're going to be crossing each other. So that means they are forming a pattern with converging, right? Opposite direction converging lines, right? Let me show you one of those. Let's go and scoop a little bit farther downwards here. Let me see if I can. There we go. So for example, and let me just crop it and hand peek it, right? Just so we can understand. There we go. This at its time, we could be looking for a converging trend lines. You see that? All right. Parenthesis. This is one of the advanced things that I want to talk about. And that's also what I handpick this area specifically. So when we have, and we also talked about this at the beginning of trading with OC, it was not a chapter, it was the pre-chapter, right? But I was explaining you a pattern is only a pattern after the breakout, right? Breakout confirmation. Why? Because this one, if we just fake out here and we drop, most likely we could be forming an M pattern. It would not be a perfect M pattern, but some sort of M pattern, right? If we break out retest and off we go, this will be a bullish pennant or a symmetrical triangle breaking to the upside, right? But if we start doing something like this, we could be forming then a parallel line from here, right? So clone it, pasting it here, all right? And now this other line becomes irrelevant and we could be forming a downward range or even, let me just exaggerate this, all right? There we go. Or a wedge, right? Or a wedge. So now, depending on how the price actions start moving, we need to be aware that one figure can become another figure and we're just having enough information as we might have. How can we decide, right, or start predicting what kind of figure it's going to be? Well, then you look at your volatility, you look at where your support and resistances are, and based on those support and resistances, you're going to be looking for trend lines, right? Or possible trend lines. The generation of those trend lines or the generative process of those trend lines will dictate the possible patterns that you have ahead. So for example, what if this becomes, I don't know, even better and upranging zone, right? Versus a downward ranging slope or wedge. So I need to be prepared for that. So how am I preparing? Well, if I have a breakout, I first need to take this high, then at least take this high. If I do an equal highs, this could be an M pattern. All right, there is one, but I will be waiting for it. Remember what I will always tell you, it's not about the breakout, it's about the retest. Absolutely. So it's about the retest here, right? If we have retest, and then how do we predict that retest? Well, then looking at our oscillator, when the price action is coming down, I want to be above this zoning here, bouncing upwards, or I want to be still above my zero line, or at the very least breaking through my zero line to start predicting a bounce right there. All right. If for example I'm not breaking through, and instead I'm doing something like this, all right, well then I could be assuming that the movement it's gonna be going lower. What would that create? That could be creating first a rounded top, a Bart Simpson, right? Exactly. Now I want you guys to notice exactly this is what we are speculating today in Bitcoin. If you don't remember, go back. Whenever the class is finished, go back and rewatch. You're gonna be seeing how am I predicting and trying to forecast the possible scenarios, right? And we did it live at the beginning. So that's why I wanted to start with Bitcoin, because we are in that process of creating a possible triangular pattern. All right. Nevertheless, in here we could be creating whatever. Let's go and click and let's replay these areas, right? Just to see how they're played out. So let's click next in here. Oh, possible breakout. All right, taking previous highs. Am I taking these ones? Not just yet. Oh, beautiful retracement. This is a fake out most likely. What happened? We called it a fake out. Why? Because as we pump, we jumped, right? We break back inside the pattern. As I always told you, when we break back inside the pattern, the chances of hitting the other side of the pattern are insanely big. Guys, this is the next tip of advanced patterns or advanced triangles. When you have a fake out, right, and just make sure that you understand that at this point, I have not changed my trend lines, and they almost every single time they respect this loss. All right, this loss. But when I break back inside a pattern and I close inside that pattern, that candle, the chances of hitting the other side of the pattern, they become very, very big. What happened? Bing, right? We bing bong it. All right, so now what do I have? Now I can start maybe dreaming, right? Maybe I can remove this, I can remove this, right? And get back at, maybe is this a double top? I don't know, there's too much absorption here, but I'm losing the zero line, so most likely I'm gonna keep going downwards, right? But the absorption here tells me that it's not gonna be an easy going down, so maybe I can do some trickling down and bursting to the upside, which could be meaningful when I have a breakout retest, right? And trickle downwards. You see, now I'm back at a possible triangle, but I know what I'm looking for. Remember, it doesn't matter that you change your opinion. I mean, in fact, the smartest people change of opinion as they get new information. They don't stay in the past. You know where you're coming from, right? You have an idea where you're going from, and you evolve with that new information. You evolve, you adapt, and you survive. All right. So what we got here, let's go for the next possibility here, breakout retest. Let's see what happens. Remember, we already know what we're expecting. All right. Oh, retest, beautiful retest. Look at that. And off we go. We knew, or we had the expectation for it going lower because the oscillator was breaking through the zero line. You see how now is things playing? But wait, now we have a possible reversal. Do we have a support? I don't know. Let's bring it up, right? Any supports in here? Any supports? Anyone? Now it seems like we don't so far. Let me see if I can just reduce this for a little bit to bring up the rest of my tools. Not really a support, but I do see a predictive ranging here, a ranging zone right there, and of course, a very big order block. Does that mean that I'm going to hit the order block? No. But I know it's there, right? All right, so let's see what else happens. By the way, we already should be on a short end at this point. Should up the breakout, it's about your retest, your short entry, there we go. And then as soon as you have one candle, full candle, body and wick in the green, you move your stop to entry. All right, let's see what else it happens in here. Perfect. All right, now we're having the range. What kind of range? Or, I mean, I don't see the range. What are you talking about, OC? Well, it's not a range just yet, but remember what I mentioned. We have a ranging zone in here. So what could I be maybe expecting? A little bit of a staying here action, if that makes sense. All right, something like that, whatever. But couple of candles within this area, right? Let's see what else can I see here. Oh, same candles within that area. Look at that for a double bottom. Nice. What should we be doing right now? Look at that possible reversal. Add support. We bounce from support almost there with a flip of the ribbon. Can we be maybe taking that entry? And guess what? Nice, nailed it. Right, you see how I'm front running the indicators? You see how based on the patterns, I'm also applying, adapting, and evolving and surviving, right? So this is what you want to do. Alex, me, thank you. Thank you for what? Welcome, by the way. What, Alex, is this playback? No, it is not a playback. All right, so ask away, Alex, ask away. Don't worry. So let's take a look at the next thing here. The next thing's here. Perfect. Indecision candle, very quick, up and down. Most likely it take you out, right? That's fine. We will have the next chance in here. Look at that flip of the ribbon. We still need to wait for that bearishness to stop playing around, right? There we go. What happens? Another set. So remember, it's not about the breakout. It's about your retest and off you go. Or if this is your second chance, the charts does give you second chances. It's not about the breakout. It's about your retest. And off we go, but bear in mind that we have again this ranging zone and we could be forming a higher low. All right, let's go and see what happened here. Oh, did not have the higher low. In fact, we have a lower low. Perfect. We're going for what? We bounced from the dynamic reactor. We had flip of the ribbon. We should have entered in that one. I just moved too quick. All right, second chance, and off we go. All right. That's it. Let me clean this up and let's continue with the class. All right. So we talked about two things in here. We already have them. Triangular patterns. Triangular patterns are converging opposite lines or opposite trend lines converging in the center. Remember that when we were looking at this one here, right? Let me just make it cleaner. We were looking for a converging scenario. Not at that time. I mean, we could have an open mouth in here, but still, if you project them, they're going to be converging in one area. Once we have this triangle and we have the fake out breakout, right? Well, then we start speculating for another set of things. So right now, we also could be having, and this is the difference, a wedge. What is a wedge? It's also a triangular pattern, but it's a little bit, it has its own subdivision, right? A wedge, it is not converging, all right? It is parallel lines, right? So a parallel line, it is like, for example, this is a parallel lines, right? So this line, it's parallel to this one and the other way around, all right? But two parallel horizontal lines make a range, all right? We already have talked about ranges, but what happens if we have, for example, this one here, right? And the other one, which is parallel, right? Or mostly parallel line like this. And they do cross over, but they're pointing at the same direction, which is downwards. All right. This is a wedge. This is a triangle. Let me show you another way of triangles, all right? Another kind of wedges. When we talk about triangles, we have symmetrical triangles, which are converging price action, converging zones, all right? Big, minimal, I mean small, whatever, right? The point is that they're basically converging. You can even do something like, I don't know, like this, but as long as they're converging in a point, that is also called a symmetrical triangle. And then we have just plain old triangles. I don't like to call them just triangles because they have a very distinctive characteristic. All right, we have either flat tops triangles, right? They usually tend to break to the upside. And we also need to wait or look for the entry points. Remember when we talked about trend lines, right? And when we talked about trend lines, which was, what was it, Tuesday class, all right? We talked about a buffering zone, all right? And that buffering zone gives you entry zones. The same thing we're going to be doing on triangles, all right? But we'll see that in a second. All right, so we also have flat top triangles, all right? Let me give you an example. Let me just hand pick a little bit. Let's just get rid of this one. Let's do replay. Come on. Let's take this one off. Right. And right here, if I just take a look at, if I just take out that last part, we can see a flat top triangle. All right. So remember, different triangles can break differently, but only a pattern. It's a pattern. One has breakout. Remember what we also just learned, that one shape can become another one, and the way to start predicting it is with your oscillators. All right. So let me just get rid of this and let me keep explaining here. All right. What else we have on triangles? We have flat bottom triangles, usually in a bearishness, right? In a bearish trend, and then we tend to break to the downside. Just remember, when we have a classic triangle, which is a flat whatever, flat top, flat bottom, however you want to call it, but flat one thing triangle, the breakout it's going to be to the flat area. All right, so if we have this one here, the breakout is going to be to the flat area. All right, perfect. Let me try to just get rid of everything here, and let's go visit a couple of other examples of those triangles, right? Talking about wedges before we move on, we have going down wedges. Usually those sloping down wedges break to the upside, right? And remember, wedges are almost parallel lines pointing at the same direction, right? They're not converging in this case, right? So as you can see, this is flat, and then the other one is crossing. This is a flat top triangle. Then we have this kind of triangles when they both are pointing to each other. This is a symmetrical triangle, right? And then we have what we just talked about, also flat bottom triangle where they converge. On wedges, once again, just to make sure that we understand, same direction lines, right? Or same direction lines like that. But the top line is also tilted as well as the bottom line. All right. Usually on these wedges, the breakout is to the opposite of the slope. If we have down sloping, the breakout is to the upside. If we have up sloping, usually the breakout is to the downside. All right. So right now we can see how, and we can see the process, right? And because we handpicked this area right here to start seeing how it become, and we went from asymmetrical triangle with a fake out, right? A next bottom, and then we ended up having what? A wedge. And what does that wedge breaks to? To the upside. But since this is the advanced class of triangles and wedges, that's why we're going for this figure. And that's why we're going with the replay, all right? Because it's not that, like, for example, right here, what shape do you see? And remember, if you were here at this moment, you did not have any other thing up ahead, right? You're not coming from the future, so you don't know. So the best thing that you can do is know your options. Trend line here, trend line there, and then what's going to happen? Maybe a breakdown to the downside. This is a bullish pennant, but I'm losing the oscillator. I have double peak seeker. I have triple bearish divergence. Guys, this is easy, right? We're breaking downwards, all right? So where's the gold? In the lines. The gold is in the lines because breaking through is not about the breakout, it's about your retest. Remember that? We already went through breakouts and retests. Let's just do it one more time. Fake out. As we pumped, we came back. We touched the other side. There we go. Breakout. Next one, retest. There we go. Your entry. And then off we go for your next trade. Once it has played out, that is basically the next retest. When it has played out, that played out. Perfect. You remove your lines. And then you do next analysis. What does it look like now? Now it's much more clear, you see? And you took advantage. And you took advantage both of the triangle that was playing out at that time. You make money on that for this breakout. So this is like Inception, the movie, right? It is a triangle within a triangle within a triangle within a triangle, right? And then what do you have in here? Well, I have a possible bullish flag because this is a bullish flag. It is a pole or an area of big volume, right? Next to a downsloping wedge. Remember, wedge lines pointing both at the same direction, and a downwards range breaks to the upside. What is my measured target? I like to measure it from the bottom line. On the books, they always measure it from here. I like to measure it from the bottom line. And this is my possible measured target. Measured target, guys. I'm not telling you that this is gonna hit. This is the measured target. This is how you measure it. If you read books, they're gonna be teaching you like this, all right? I don't like to measure targets just like that because based on my experience on Bitcoin, it is less than a 20 or 25% that we hit those targets, like to the T, right? Sometimes we overshoot for a lot, and sometimes we do not go to, we don't even. All right, so let me just clear this up. All right, perfect. Let's replay here, and we already know the result, right? There's no surprising here. There was a wedge, and we cleanly break the wedge. It's not about your breakout. Oh, come on. It's not about your breakout. It's about your retest, and now if you go, right, with a wedge breakout. Easy peasy lemon squeezy, all right? But that's because we saw this, right? I mean, there's no surprise. There's no science behind just looking and hand-picking something. Having said that, remember that we started the class here on the 4 hour. Remember that? Let's apply our knowledge. What does it look like? It looks to me, first of all, used to look like a pennant, right? Breakout retest, and guess what could happen? Off we go. But I already have entered for this entry. I already have taken this entry. I took some profits. I did not take some profits in here, but whatever. I'm gonna get stopped at. That's it. That's fine because I'm hunting a bigger trend or a bigger move. All right. But now that it's broken, now what it looks like? High, high, high. Maybe an anomaly. All right. Low. How can I be that I always click the wrong button? Low, low, low. Is this a wedge or is this a triangle? I don't care how you call them, guys. It just breaks out the same freaking way. Right? I mean, yeah, usually, I mean, and let's get clear here, right? Let's be clear. This is a bullish flag. Well, a bullish pennant, sorry, right? Bullish pennant like that. But if I take into consideration the freaking wicks in here, this is a bullish flag with what? With a wedge. It usually those downward sloping wedges break to what? To the upside. Did we break to the upside? Of course not. Remember what I told you. Less than 20% we have the actual breakout that we are being predicted. That's why you don't, well, that's what I suggest you to learn. Where is the psychology of the trade of the pattern to breakout, right? But do not put your trust on that given breakout. Put your trust on the things that you can see and you can measure. Remember how we did it last time. We're losing the zero line. We are below the zero line. We are at the top. we have inconclusive candle. What do you think is going to happen? We're going to flip back around, right? And what we did, we flop. It's not about the breakout. It's an instant retest. Off you go. And then sweep of the lows with a bullish divergence. At that point, remember, already have played out. Remove everything and reanalyze what we have. Bullish divergence. Let's go back to basics. Is your trend line. It's not about the breakout. It's about your retest. You did not cut it there. Don't worry. Cut it here. It's about the breakout. It's about your retest. It's not about the breakout. It's about the retest. And off you go to where to previous liquidity zones. Damn. That's it. But you need to have this knowledge beforehand. Why? Because if you just try to do the same process in your head, you're going to be seeing that we're just moving fast. And you can also be saying, all right, but you're seeing it. Yes. But that's basically the same thing that I do right here. Like, for example, let's just go for this example. All right. I already know what I'm looking for. And again, you need to know the possibilities so you can act based on a premeditated plan, right? What if this is the same? Breakout retest, we are below, right? Breakout retest, off we go. I know I have a Bart Simpson. What is my first liquidity right here for the retest? Shorted. What is my next liquidity zone for the next bounce? Long dead. What do I have in there? Maybe do I have where is it? There we go. Look at that. We even have an order book. I'm telling you guys. Do we have something to bounce up from the top? Maybe a predictive range could maybe leading the way. Where are my predictive ranges? Come on. Here it is. All right, predictive range. Nothing here so far. So the best thing I can be now then doing, it is looking for looking at my oscillator, which we are not there yet. So I need that information. And based on my oscillator, if I have a bullish divergence in here, I'm going to be maybe waiting for two things. Either, and I should be having a trend line there. I'm going to be looking for breakout retest or double bottom like we did in here, right? Or sweep of the lows, breakout retest, bullish divergence, and then up we go to Valhalla with the next movement like that. All right, easy peasy lemon squeezy, guys. But we are at that point. Hopefully you have been studying here, guys, right? I would love you guys to be as agile as I am, or even faster, better, and greater, right? When we finish up the chapters. We're around, I don't know, 15 chapters so far, depending on Piper. I'm going to be inviting Piper to the classes to show you guys right from the source how he uses his strategies with, Fibonacci. And also I'm going to be showing you my version of Fibonacci, which has nothing to do with the tool. It only has to do with the numeric values on a Fibonacci system. But we'll talk about that when we get there, right? So, guys, keep it up. This is easy, all right? This is easy. You just need to know it from before, already have a plan, right? So you just can look back. Oh, I know, I've seen that, right? What is my possibility? This is my possibility. And I'm not marrying that possibility. I'm open to whatever changes happens, right? So I used to have a teacher on architecture university, on the university. Man, I love that teacher. We call it Weenie. Her name was Weenie. She was so cool. And she was brutally honest, right? And then sometimes she went like, oh, I like your pool, which is in the center of your building. Nice design. Let's pretend I'm the client. Are you in with me? And you, of course, going to be saying yes. How could you be saying to one of your teachers, no, right? Of course not. That was a freaking trick. All right. And then, all right, I'm the client and I don't want the pool there. Just push it the other way around. I want it here. That means now your kitchen, your bedroom, your air ventilation is all wrong. What are you going to do? Right? So you need to think quick, right? The same thing's happening. That your client is the market. All right, what if the market just because they want to break out to the upside and honor the maybe bullish pennant that we have? So in that case, you're gonna realize that you were wrong here, or your client just decided to change his mind, right? And then take out the previous highs, at least going to these other meaningful highs, create a higher low while you have a breakout. And remember what I always tell you, it's not about the breakout, it's about your retest. And at that point, whatever happens here, even whatever, it can even do circles, I don't care, right? Let's just do circles, right? And then, but if it's when it's breaking through, right? You should be breaking through, coming back down, retest, and up we go. You see that? It can do fireworks in here. It can do lights. It can do whatever, flamingos. I don't give a F, right? But the point is that when you're grabbing that breakthrough, guys, game's on. I mean, remember that the initial classes when we started setting bases, we talked about the oscillator, right? In fact, we touched about the oscillator once again on 3 of our oscillators in here: the bullish, the squeeze momentum, our prime oscillator, and our primary SI. And I talked about one of the most important features on the prime oscillator. Look at how, and this is when trading becomes easy, guys, because we know, and guys, again, just trade what is easy. You don't need to be a hero, right? You don't need to be that. You just need to be making money. That's it. Right? And we talked about something very important. When the oscillator is above your zero line, what happens? Overall direction is to the upside. When your oscillator it's below the zero line, look at that, nothing above the zero line, right? Your direction is the downside. And again, when your oscillator, and look at that, I'm measuring from break through the ribbon, break to the zero line, 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 right? And that's it. That's it, guys. That's it. So what is going to be up for your next movement? That is my question for you. So far, we are below. I mean, yes, of course, we can have a hiccup here, and still move to the upside, right? But so far, we are below. We are in the red cloud. Bearish. So far, bearish. It doesn't matter if we cut it a little bit above here, but who's going to care about if then we have nothing above us? Let's bring our support and resistance. I mean, our next resistance is all the way here. Break a retest, and then you could be taking that juicy trade. So you're going to be fighting me between taking it here, I mean, to then, taking it there. Well, then be my guest, right? But at the end, it's not about fighting. It's about having a perspective, right? Doesn't matter if it's a good perspective, a bad perspective. As long as you can change your mind based on that new candle information that the market structure is going to be giving you, you are doing it right. All right. Everything else, guys, let's using the best teacher I ever had told the class, taking notes, and every 2 weeks test. Love it. Sleeping is allowed. Absolutely, man. He wanted kids to fail so they can cut his golf course grass. Oh man, that's amazing. You didn't take notes, you failed. Oh well. All said. Hey OC, right? And fam, hey, welcome brother, welcome. By the way, Mrs. OC is crossing out through the door. All right, guys, let's call the class out today. I think that was enough of me just going crazy. Hopefully, I might be rememberable for you guys as one of your good teachers, right? No test, right? Sleeping allowed, throwing balls allowed, making big noise in the chat allowed, right? Everything is allowed as long as you make money. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. And as always, see you guys tomorrow.